We're live, boys.
And
Good morning.
good morning.
I set up none of my stuff.
GM.
We just ran right into the start of the show today.
Chat.
I mean, we had a 5-minute countdown.
I know. It was like, it was not. It's like, have you seen that? Oh my God, starting early with the movie references. I think there's in Austin Powers where the guy like won't get out of the way of a steamroller. He's like, no, and he's like 30 feet away, and they're moving like in 1 mile per hour.
Really
He's like,
slow.
stop! They're like, get out of the way. And
That's what this was like.
30 feet away, and then they just roll right over him like he doesn't move. It's pretty good. That's basically how we started the show today.
It's a good way to start, man.
Just caught us completely off guard.
Yeah, out of legitimately nowhere besides the countdown on every screen in here. The show started
for 5 minutes.
for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. It's
Right.
kind of a long time when you got a countdown running. Chat though, important question. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Let us know.
Hopefully they got us.
Nacho's asking how are our peptides today. Okay, Mike Webb.
Took them
and
this
Drunk
morning.
Blue.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right.
How do you take them? Do you like shoot them into your leg, or do you like mix them into your protein shake? Or, or is that a bad question?
No. So why is that a bad question?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Some of them are subcutaneous, and some are just capsules.
Okay. So if you're curious, open up ChatGPT and try to spell subcutaneous, and then it will tell you how you take peptides.
Good
Danny, it's
luck.
Thursday.
It is my favorite day of the week, and it
Yes.
should be yours as well. It is yet another glorious Throughput
Liquid
Thursday, and we are live from New York. This is Monad
In the morning. Bang.
Nailed it. We are getting better and better. This is, I think, episode 45 of Monad in the Morning,
Wow.
coming up on the 1-year anniversary.
The old 1 year. Did we skip any and that skipped the number? Is it like, is it
No.
each week?
So we have skipped a couple weeks. I think we've skipped 3 total weeks, but we do not we number the based on the episode, not the week.
Okay.
So when we skip a week, we don't skip a number.
Okay. So we're at week 48 if we skipped 3.
I believe
So we're
I
a
believe
month
so.
away from the 1 year.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. Yeah. We started mid or end of February.
Early
right?
February, because we did I think episode 3 was in East Denver.
Oh,
if I'm
yes.
not
We had
mistaken.
Spam on, we had KB on. We
Yeah.
had a squad.
R.I.P.
What's oh well,
I just haven't seen her in this.
Yeah, I
I
was
don't know
gonna
what
say.
she's up to. I like my favorite part of the show now is the first 30 minutes where we just like talk about the current things.
Actually, this is a crazy good segue, though. You just said RIP KB because you haven't seen her.
Yeah.
And one of the topics we were going to discuss is the algorithm changes.
Oh yeah.
Which
Nikita.
like
Nikita playing God.
Genuinely has changed who I see and stuff. Like, I almost never see the pipeline, even though I engage with it every post.
Bro, that is not something that you admit live on the air.
But that's a concern. Like,
yeah, right.
Why am I not?
Gustav should see every post from the
Yeah,
like he's like liking and maybe retweeting most of them.
Legitimately.
Yeah. So Nikita, for anyone who somehow I feel like this was the viral thing. Every single person watching this knows what was happening. It was basically like Horton Hears a Who. So to go into the second movie reference, I guess, where like Nikita is just doing his algo thing. His KPIs. I would love to get into this actually. Why KPIs create bad outcomes. But his KPIs are like time spent on app, new users coming in, retention, like all things that you think would be good if you focus on them. But it actually created this outcome where basically it would just show everyone only viral posts, most of them being slop, because the average person just gets like baited to watch these things. And so the numbers were going up, but satisfaction with the app is going down. And so it's short-sighted. I think he saw this. Crypto specifically was targeted. I think Moon Overlord was our main champion, like rallying everyone against this. But like if you the meme is that if you said GM, you got like downvoted in the algo. which is just crazy. It was like if you mention crypto, NFTs, Bitcoin, GM, all these things, it was like the algorithm fights against you and doesn't show your post to anyone,
But
which is kind
Gamonad
of a scandal.
Gamonad's still
Yeah,
there.
notably, Gamonad was not on the list of banned words. I'm not going to draw any conclusions from that, but yeah, it was very interesting. Nikita allegedly fixed it 2 days ago. He says it's fixed. He tweeted it's fixed, GM. Actually, kind of a great tweet. You got to give credit where credit's due. Like, that was a great way to fix it and tweet it. And now I'm seeing a lot more posts from my friends. So that was like the news of the week for crypto, which was pretty crazy.
Well, because it just fundamentally affects everyone's day to day.
Right.
Like,
100%.
well, I literally get paid to tweet, and now it looks like I'm terrible at my job. And maybe I am.
I'm not seeing them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jessup's not seeing him. Something is wrong.
Exactly. So if you're in the chat, we need your help getting visibility on Monad in the morning. So get those notifications on for Pipeline. Drop some comments. We'll pick some commenters. We'll spin the wheel for people who comment below the Pipeline's tweet. If you make our day a little bit better.
If you say GM.
Yeah, drop a GM.
Yeah.
Drop a GM on the Pipeline if you see it.
Yeah, it's I always loved, I mean, 2021, the GM arc was awesome. Like you could just go on Twitter in the morning and be like GM and get like 300 likes.
Yeah,
and
it's the
everyone would be
best.
like, "Good morning, let's go."
I will say though, like seeing it outside of crypto Twitter throws me off every time. Like
Yeah.
I was going to meet a real estate agent on the weekend and she messaged me GM and I was like, whoa.
You're like, don't message me that.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
get it.
That's
You don't
like-
understand the
That's
whole.
probably what my son feels like when I say like all these trendy words. I'm like, "What's up, twin?" And he's like, "Ew."
Yeah. You're like, that is low-key goated.
Yeah.
And he's like, what else happened? Eric Adams launched essentially a meme coin and then rugged it. And it was his tweet. I want to pull up the tweet because I want to get the words right. But essentially, my understanding of it was supposed to be, it was like a coin to end anti-Semitism or something, which is like so ridiculous. And then he just rugged it like within an hour and made $3 million. Like as pure of crime as you can get in blockchain, like this is it.
Yeah, you have to think that he did not really know what was going on. He must have gotten looped into this as like a spokesman, and
Who's that one guy that's behind all of them?
Sahil.
Yeah, Sahil.
Or Hayden.
Or Hayden, yeah.
Can
you want to share it?
I don't. No, I'll just read it off. No, I am actually of the opinion I'm done with the like naivete stance. I think somebody pitched him, and Eric Adams, who's now out of public office, so he's just like a normal guy to the best of my understanding, was like, I can just launch a New York coin and make $3 million. I bet he actually knew he was going to do this well ahead of not being the mayor anymore. And he's like, yeah, I can do this. I'll make $3 million, and then people will yell at me on the internet for a day. But like, would you get yelled at for $3 million? Like, probably. And then so he just did it. And yeah, so the token was poised to fight the rapid spread of anti-Semitism. And he launched it, and an hour later, just literally pulled all the liquidity, and I think it was like $3.4 million total. So
I guess in a sense, his plan kind of worked because there's, in a sense, a limited capacity for hate. Like you can only hate so much, right? You can only spread
I like
so
where
much
this is
love.
going.
You can
I
only
love where
spread
this
so
is
much
going.
hate. And so by taking all the hate on his back,
He's redirecting.
he redirected all
Redirects
the
the
hate
hate.
away from anti-Semitism, I guess, and
Yeah.
he just put it all on his own back for good reason, because he pulled the lick.
Yeah.
So job in a sense complete, but not a job well done.
I mean, it certainly generated a lot of attention around the cause. And it's almost like an Avatar. We're going on a lot of references early today. An Avatar where he learns lightning bending, and they like shoot lightning at him, and you can't just block it. You have to redirect it. So he's like, all right, I see all this hate. I want to stop the spread of anti-Semitism. Redirect. I'll take it myself, along with $3 million.
Right.
It was an absolute scam. Like we're joking about his the idea that there could potentially be positive intentions behind this token rug pull is so laughable that there's no possible way. So Eric Adams, I forget why he used to get in trouble for like people gave him first class tickets and like free hotels. I forget what the scandal was, but he does it again. This guy, you know.
I mean, the weird thing that happens, well, I guess it's not even weird. The thing that just tends to happen with like the way that law enforcement and government moves so much slower than something like crypto, where like, there's a new topic every day. Anyone can go launch a coin. Like this stuff tends to catch up to people, and you would, assume that folks are looking into this. Like you
Mhm.
can't just do whatever you want.
It's wild. Well, so what's
Literally,
funny?
the community notes, former Mayor Eric Adams immediately withdrew his liquidity from the coin in what is typically called a rug pull.
A rug pull.
That is the
Right. We're
community
like,
note.
it's 2026 and we're community noting rug pulls on the former mayor of New York.
And
I went to, dude.
the project tweeted the most out of touch thing ever as soon as they did that too. They were like, "We did not expect this much demand, so we were forced to rebalance the
It's
liquidity, and
yeah.
now we're buying it back." It's like,
Don't even
what?
You can't even read the words.
But
It's just like it's
that was
just we
removed.
rugged it, and I'm just gonna say this in
So
as a
It
band-aid.
doesn't even make
so did the
sense.
It's a
did
band-aid on a gunshot wound.
they tweeted that and then must have deleted it because it says the buy NYC token
Right.
hasn't posted.
This
So
is the
that is
most textbook rug pull
literally.
ever.
This is the joke. I have a tweet video that is literally this joke
Mm.
that I made yesterday without even this, and that was what I was talking
Yeah.
about. Like right here, this is
It's absurd. And so he actually hosted I went to an event with like a bunch of it was like a crypto rally at I forget the name of the house, but it's like the mayor's house or something in New York. And he was like saying how he's pro crypto. He gave this long ass speech actually that was like, you know, it was almost comical the way that he was talking about crypto. He's like entrepreneurs in crypto basically being like these caged in birds and you just got to let them fly and like let them rip. And I was like, I know most of the entrepreneurs working in crypto and I wouldn't describe them that way. Um, but like just to be honest, like it's not like there are some awesome ideas in crypto moving the space forward. But the way he was romanticizing it was almost like he had never actually talked to anyone who was like trying to build a project in crypto. And he was like, I don't know. It was pretty funny. I actually have a video of the speech.
the
And then but then he's like, all right, you gotta let me out of the cage, let me fly.
that's
Pull a
another
token.
movie reference. What's the one where it's like,
Oh, the other guys,
yeah,
Will Ferrell. I'm a peacock.
I'm a
You gotta let
peacock,
me
you gotta
fly.
let me fly.
Unbelievable. I think OKX uh set that. I don't know. But all right, we do have other topics. The Verizon outage yesterday. What the hell?
I didn't even notice, to be honest, because I was on Wi-Fi all day.
Yeah, so I did not notice until I left the office and had no service and I couldn't look up how to get home. And so I
You
had to
don't know how
walk
to
back
you don't
in.
know how to get home?
I was going to PubKey with Tunes actually. I couldn't get to PubKey.
Uh,
Um
does Tunes have Verizon?
no, he looked it up. I think he has like T-Mobile or something.
That actually
Classic.
checks out.
Hilarious. That's the most
Right.
Tunes thing of all time, right?
If Tunes doesn't respond to your tweet, it's because he has T-Mobile.
Right. He'll see it tomorrow. Um
In select locations.
right. But that was just outrageous, not crypto related whatsoever, but you can't just go down if you're Verizon.
Actually, though, doesn't T-Mobile? I'm kind of speaking very far out of my expertise here, but I'm pretty sure T-Mobile uses Verizon towers.
I think
I don't
possibly,
know.
yeah.
Well, whatever.
Maybe it was AT&T.
We'll save that for the telecoms guys. We do have a couple. There's a lot of news to talk through, but I also want to tee up our guests for the day. We've got 3 guests, all in person. We accidentally tagged one of them incorrectly, and that is my fault because I did not properly update the title of this stream. So a direct apology to Shreyas, who will be our second guest of the day. His handle is at Hello Shreyas, not at Shreyas. as cool as that
Oh,
would
that's a
be.
classic. You put it in, you're like, I'll look up his handle later, and then you copy pasted.
Right.
Knew it.
My
100%.
bad. I apologize
I got it.
to
You got it correct in the uh, other part because I
Oh.
have it on the
Read
ticker.
below.
I
It's
did. I
correct.
did.
It's
Well,
correct
it was
down here.
there's two on our planning doc. There's two locations for the handle, and one of them was correct under the guest lineup, but the title I did not update. So my sincere and humble apologies to all the viewers, and of course to Shreyas as well. Shreyas is going to be our second guest of the day on in 1 hour and 9 minutes. He's going to talk about the future of consumer crypto. He had a banger article that he put out around the new year that we will chat through, maybe get some predictions on what's going to be hot in 2026. So excited for that. But before Shreyas comes on in a mere 9 minutes, we are going to bring on our first representative from Category Labs since Mainnet went live. So
Alex
cool
Elliott.
perspective. We have Alex Elliott, DevOps from Category Labs, coming on in 8 minutes now. So stick around. That's going to be fun. And then obviously Shreyas at 11:30 Eastern, followed by Keone, the man, the myth, the legend himself, on at 12 noon Eastern today. So banger lineup of guests. Clippers, get ready. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to have fun. We'll give you some insights, some outlooks for 2026 for both Category Labs and Monad Foundation. What could be better than that?
And I'm looking, and Alex's Twitter handle is at Alex Potato.
Well, okay,
This
so
guy's all time.
he is an absolute legend, but I have to apologize
Alex
for the
Potato.
second time. We're 22 minutes into the stream, and now I'm already starting with my second apology.
Technical difficulty.
Alex, his real, or not his real Twitter, but his crypto Twitter or his work Twitter is AE Cat Labs, and I tagged his personal Twitter Alex Potato, not
Same
knowing
thing.
that he has
That's a
two.
mistake on him, honestly. You can't have two. You can't have two.
Two
It's his mistake.
different audiences.
I would say to make it up to Shreyas, if you take his long form and quote tweet it under the stream from the pipeline account, that'll get a ton of views. And I think he probably cares more about that than getting the tag right. So maybe that's like a nice, easy rectification.
Oh,
We'll do it live.
I like that. That's
do it
good
live.
rectification. No, I'm gonna do it right now so that we can maximize the number of impressions
Perfect.
that Shreyas gets. And in the meantime, why don't you tell us what else is going on?
Yeah, what else is happening in the world? Solana roasting Starknet.
Insane.
Yeah, Solana's taking kind of not a lot of risks, but they're being very creative in their main account marketing, which as a main account market enjoyer, I love to see. They just roasted Starknet, called them like inflated, overvalued trash. They're teeing up something. Like clearly this is a marketing stunt with Starknet. They didn't just choose violence on Starknet. But yeah, excited to see what they do. Shout out Vibu, who just like crushes. Like he's great on the Twitter side. He had his own tweet go viral about Claude Cowork. Which this also is like Opus 4.5 came out in early November, and I think it took about 2 months for everyone to digest this and start to use it and realize kind of like using that plus Claude Code and what that lets you do with vibe coding. And now that's the only thing I see people talking about as well. They're like, "Oh, I told Claude to get me a girlfriend, and it went out. Now I have one 2 hours later." Like this is, an absolute revolution.
Now I'm sold.
Dude, I'm telling, it's like the Cowork one, the commercial or the promo video they had for it is genuinely insane. It's like, clear my non-necessary meetings for tomorrow and make decks for the ones that I'm leading. And you just like send that, and then it just like fixes everything, which is just crazy. Like it can't work like that. I have not used Cowork, but like I'm pretty sure it can only go in and change. You give it like access to one file, and then it just messes with that file. It can't, like, I don't know.
Well,
I
you
think
can
the stories are very exaggerated, is my take.
one thing, shout out Greg, and if this is wrong, you can blame Greg, who leads interactive entertainment here at the Monad Foundation. But Greg says that you can connect certain external softwares like Notion, for example, and Google Calendar, Google Drive, perhaps, via MCPs, I believe. And then Claude can actually access all of that information. And in theory, the more information you give it, then the more knowledge it has to actually act upon. So I would imagine it's kind of predicated based on what apps you connect, how much context there is. If there's a lot of context and it's very clear, I would assume Mr. Claude can do more.
Here's my
Yeah.
Tinder.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
find me a girlfriend.
They-
Connect Tinder.
Yeah.
I mean, by the end of the year, that
Make
has
no
to be a thing.
mistakes.
Yeah. Find me the best girlfriend. Do not make a mistake.
Make no mistakes. Do you remember that video? This is so niche and probably is not a good topic for the stream, but do you remember that video from like junior year of college? Is like, I'm looking for a girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the best videos of all time.
Good video. If you haven't seen it, go look it up.
I have no idea what you guys are
I
talking
don't. I think if I pulled it up, it'd be inappropriate. I don't even want to say more about the video because then people will find it and be like, "Did they really just talk about that on the stream?" But it is hilarious. If you have enough context from that to look it up and find it, it is quite hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. Something about just upload every bit of information that you can to the AI just rubs me the wrong way.
For
Call me
sure.
old school.
For sure.
But they're like, oh, if you give it your genetic code, then
Well,
it'll be able to make you breakfast better.
I
It's
mean,
like I don't want to make that trade.
even so I started using Rhythm where you like get monthly blood tests and
Mhm.
stuff, and just even they're integrating AI to like walk you through the variations in your blood results. It's like when you have literally all of my data and my internal blood work
Dude,
right
that's what
there,
I'm saying.
and they're all communicating. It's like
It's so whack. But like the problem is, and I think you need to adopt one of two strategies. You either like hermit, like you stop history right now and refuse technology, or you go the other way and like, all right, eventually they're gonna have all my stuff anyways, so I'll just buy it now to try to get a competitive advantage early on. I mean,
I think like one of the arguments even several years ago was like all of these social media platforms are having your data, and there's a lot of people who would try to prevent that from happening, but then you have the flip side where you're utilizing it and capitalizing off of it. It's like if you're going to sell my data, why can't I benefit from it? Because
yeah.
Zuckerberg's going to sell it and make money, so I might as well share it. And like same with the AI tools. Like I think you can, if you they're gonna get your information anyway. Every time you scroll through Instagram or any
Right.
one of these, like you're interacting with AI.
Well, that's what I'm
It's
saying. You got to go hermit or all in.
Well,
Like I don't think,
interestingly, I
yeah.
saw a tweet that I'm not sure if I agree with, so I'll throw it out there. And it basically said that everyone obviously is increasingly online, terminally online. There's more internet native tools that are just keeping people online for larger and larger percentages of their days. And as a result, people are going to have to, if they want to make money, if they want to keep a job and be as productive as their counterparts, they're going to have to spend almost the entire day online because that's increasingly where things are moving. So, in the very near future, it may become a luxury to not be online, to have
Yeah.
the ability to put your phone down and go into uh, maybe potential business idea here, a phone free club for elites, so there's no online access allowed, and the only people who can afford to unplug and step away from the online world are those that have the most money, the most power, the most value for their time.
It's just the legitimate matrix.
But
And we just built it.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, this is dope.
what's
Every step of the way.
what's funny is, so yesterday my son was showing me, he was doing some stuff in his programming class, and it was like one of the questions was, why is it bad to use AI for code? And he was reading that to me and I was like, that is terrible advice.
Right.
Like
Use it.
I
Like, what are you
work
talking about?
with people that are doing this as a profession, and they say, like, utilize this to help speed things
Yeah,
up.
that's crazy.
And
That's
it was just
genuinely
like,
crazy.
it doesn't mean replace it. You need to understand what it is that you are actually writing, and so you can find the mistakes and stuff. But to tell students and people not to use AI, like, that is absolutely insane, and you're
It's
setting them up for failure.
it's the exact same thing as when you were in school as a kid and they're like,
Don't
you
use a
can't
calculator."
use a calculator.
Yeah.
What if you don't have a calculator in the future? It's like, I will never not have a calculator.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? I not only do I have a calculator, I can just tell a spreadsheet what to do, and the whole thing is fine. Like, I can do it in plain English.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? I don't know. It just seems like people like tradition in education far more than maybe is valuable. Um, but I'd love to get Alex Elliott's take on this. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Alex, it is awesome to have you on. How are you doing today?
It's an honor to be here. This is my first ever podcast, so this is kind of exciting for me as well.
Well,
yeah.
two firsts. Your first ever podcast. Welcome to Monad in the Morning.
Thank you.
Honored. And this is our first representative from Category Labs since Mainnet went live, and I believe our first CL rep outside of James Hunsaker.
Correct.
Just
Which-
James.
We haven't had James on in a while. So,
The new
Alex,
James.
great to have you
Thank
here.
you. Yeah, honored to be here.
I'm already on my second liquid death of the show.
Pretty sure I
so-
gave that to you to give to him.
There's another one down here. Alex
I'll-
is
I'll-
Alex
I've
is
never had
working
one.
on.
I'll try one.
Okay, nice. All right.
I had never had one until like there's
Cheers.
like
Cheers.
an unspoken sub meta of the show is just drinking as many liquid deaths as we can now.
Nice.
So
It's good water
It is. It is.
It's
Yes,
good water.
Tasty.
and good branding.
Good
Consider
H2O.
consider my thirst murdered. We're probably gonna have to cut to an intermission soon so I can use the restroom.
oh yeah. But Alex, very excited to have somebody on from Category Labs. For anyone who is not familiar with kind of Monad Foundation Category Labs is the tech company behind the building of the Monad blockchain. You can think of them as like, oh, who actually built Monad? Like Category Labs actually built Monad, and then the foundation does a bunch of other stuff to help adoption. So we get to talk directly to the source, right? We can talk exactly about what went into the building of Monad. But I think maybe first, Alex, if you can start with just, what do you do at Category Labs? And what have the last few months looked like from
Sure.
your perspective?
Yeah, so I'm on what's called the DevOps team at Category Labs. What that means is we are responsible for all of the tech infrastructure that Category Labs uses, which is a combination of if software engineers are writing the code, actual machines that they test it on, the machines that they build it on. We also maintain a bunch of hosts that we use for networks that are both internal and public. So, for example, during testnet, we had a bunch of public-facing testnet nodes. We also have internal networks. One example, RESTnet. So as an engineer is writing code for Monad, he's like, I want to test out the performance or see if there's any bugs. We'll run it internally first. And then if that looks good, we'll release it to our testnet nodes, which are public. And if that looks good, then we'll go to our owning that infrastructure, making sure everything is working. We also do what we call dog fooding. So anytime we release something to production, somebody from the DevOps team somebody writes the instructions internally, and then we actually go through the instructions ourselves. You haven't missed a step. They're clear. Oh, this didn't work for this person. We want to make sure that it all works. That plus monitoring everything, making sure everything is running, and then also work on the first line of defense. If somebody in mainnet sees an issue, they might report it to MF. Will come to us.
Critical place to be for
It's-
sure.
It's we try not to think about that too much, but yeah, we take it very seriously, while also trying to keep it kind of, there's a joke about football coaches. You have to be smart enough to win, but dumb enough to think it matters. We have to be smart enough to solve the problems, but like dumb enough to not think about actually what's going on. So yeah, it's I personally love it. I probably have a little bit of ADD, ADHD, and this little constant stream of like things coming in it's very well. I think a lot of the other people in this line.
It's like the fidget spinner equivalent.
Yes, yeah,
Is just insanely intense and critical information flow to maintain a blockchain network. or a fidget spinner. Same thing.
I'm curious, like, what's the story of you getting involved with Monad,
Sure.
obviously through Category Labs? Like, what were you up to previously, and then what kind of gave you the motivation to be like, yeah, this is what I want to
Sure.
work on?
Yeah, great question. So most of my career has been in what crypto folks would call TradFi. I would have called it finance until I worked in crypto. So I worked at a giant investment bank. I've worked at a couple of top tier hedge funds. I worked at some fintech startups. I actually worked at, I think what is now Ripple Prime for about 6 months. It was called Hidden Road back then. That was my first kind of experience in crypto. And then summer of 2024, ended up leaving the hedge fund I was working at. I was kind of looking around. I didn't really know what to do next. And one of my favorite recruiters goes, "What about Monad?" I was like, "2x Jump guys." I said, "Which 2x Jump guys?" Because I worked at Jump, and they go, "Keone and James." And I was like, "Oh, whatever they're doing, I'm all in." Because Keone, James, and I all worked together in the New York office of Jump Trading. So they ran one of the trading teams. I was the trade desk person. And yeah, that's basically how I ended up at what was then Monad Labs and has now become Category Labs. And yeah, it's been interesting to see the difference between kind of the two.
Sweet. So you weren't even necessarily like, oh, I want to definitively work in crypto, but it was more so that the Monad opportunity popped up and kind
Correct.
of checked a
Yep.
few boxes for you.
Yep. And it's and now that I've been in it, I guess a year and a half, I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Mm.
If only because when you work in finance or hedge funds, et cetera, a lot of that it's if you go somewhere, everything's already up and running. So it's like the joke is like don't break the money printer. Like keep an eye on that, make sure everything is running. So there isn't a lot of opportunity to build new things or try out new projects or what have you. At Category Labs, and basically from the beginning, kind of see a new network come live. Like that is so exciting because you every day you're making some new decision. Okay, how are we going to manage this? How are we going to do monitoring? How are we going to roll things out? And even at Category Labs, joke, we've been like 3 or 4 different companies. So at one point during testnet, it's like we were Category Labs and Foundation had majority stake. We were basically like a validator company. So if one of our validators went down, you get paged 2 in the morning. You're like, oh my god, I gotta jump on board. Like
Mhm.
that was kind of stressful but exciting. Now during mainnet, we do less of that, so it's a very different job. So it's more like being an open source maintainer. So that sort of reinventing ourselves every couple months has also been super.
It's funny to hear that it wasn't even like Monad's mission is such a strong guiding force for like hundreds of thousands of people in crypto. Uh, and it's funny that like somebody in such a critical position for Monad to be successful, like basically the decision tree was like, wait, Keone and James started this thing. Like those guys are legendary. I'm in. Whatever it is
Yeah.
has to be so good that I'm in.
It's it's
What was their
okay.
reputation like? Like because I've heard this is a genuine question.
Sure.
I've heard so many people when they talk about Keone and James at Jump, they're just like, whatever they're doing, I want a piece of because they are just like known as the guys. And
Yeah,
so I guess like just asking, what was their reputation like
sure.
how, yeah.
Yeah, it's so Jump, every hedge fund's a little bit different. Traders have certain personalities. Some of them can be very aggressive, some of them can be very quiet. That's so there's kind of a spectrum there. Yoni and James, I think we're in the sweet spot of very smart, very logical. If they made a request, it was something they actually needed. They wouldn't ask for some crazy thing just to ask for some crazy. And I distinctly remember there was a power outage in the Jump office in New York, and Keone and I were talking about it. And Keone was calm and relaxed, and even when there were sort of big outages, they would always be very easy to deal with. There weren't screamers, they weren't yellers. They would work with you to kind of figure everything out. So um, one of my favorite stories is as I was about to leave Jump, James gave me a bottle of tequila for helping out with something. So I was like, I'm working with this guy whatever I can, basically. So that was awesome. Yeah, and I think I only had that experience with them, and then coming to Monad Time Labs and meeting all the people that work there at Now Foundation and Category Labs. It was amazing how many people have basically followed them. Like wherever Keone went, people followed them,
Mhm.
which I think is just a testament to kind of person he is. And James just makes good technical decisions like over and over and over again, and pushes for things to get better. So it's been interesting to see it. Jump was like 10 years ago. So even in a 10-year span, like they've been very consistent.
Yeah, same pattern, just
Exactly.
coming through and through. And the reason that's been so interesting for me to watch is everyone I know that knows them from the past life, it's the exact same answer every time. They're like, you've never met somebody with a better reputation, smarter, that like you would bet your life on doing good, big, successful things than like Keone Han.
Yeah.
It was the same for me, and I did not have the opportunity to work with them previously, but just like kind of early 2023 starting to look into Monad, I was very much in the camp like I don't think we need more chains. Like Solana's fast, we've got projects like kind of breaking out in crypto for the first time, and I'm not very smart nor am I technical, so it was obviously very easy to fall into that camp of like we don't need more chains. But then even seeing James and Keone on some early podcasts and coming to realize like the amount of expertise they had with low latency
Mhm.
systems optimization that could be directly applied to something like Monad, but then also not shying away from the fact that you have to build this thing from scratch. You have to go tackle these hard problems like the database, for
Mhm.
example. And we had Hasib on Monad in the Morning a couple months ago, and he basically said that he was waiting for someone to come along and solve the problems that Keone and James went after head on. And a lot of people just didn't want to go do the hard work of rebuilding the entire EVM stack from the ground up. Understandably, seems
Mhm.
like a big challenge. Not only were Keone, James, and Eunice up for that challenge from day one, but they were going to do it in a way that was really smart
Mhm.
and really level-headed and really
Yep.
very much so long-term minded. So while there may be a few attempts to kind of do something similar to Monad, there really is nothing that you can directly compare it to. I,
Mm.
I definitely see Monad as standing in its own lane, and I would imagine you do as well.
Mhm. Yeah, it's I think one of the things that has really struck me about like you talked about being fast. When we review candidates, particularly for the DevOps roles, people will ask like, what is Monad? And I say, well, we have a couple goals, and one is to be client and two fast. And people ask, well, how do you make sure that it's fast? And we do a lot of work to we basically replay old Ethereum data. We're starting to replay old on testnet data. There's huge infrastructure and pipelines and efforts into basically making Monad go as fast as possible, to the point that some people's only job is you replay, you look at the stats. Oh wait, this block was slow. Why was it slow? And they'll dive down into transactions. And me, that's one of the I'm a kind of stats guy, and to me, that's another fun part of working there. That in the same way like a hedge fund would do back testing on old data, you can basically look at old replay data. It wouldn't surprise me at some point if on top of building Monad, Category Labs becomes sort of an expert sort of SME as a company on all things EVM, transaction time, given the amount of data.
That's actually huge, and I think it's something that not a lot of people are familiar with because you tend to have this cycle in crypto where a company or like an engineering firm like launches a blockchain and it goes to mainnet and that's kind of it in a
Mm.
sense, like that is the product. But for Monad with Category Labs' approach, my understanding is that is actually not the case. Mainnet, what launched at the end of November, is really just kind of V1 of the system, and
Mhm.
now there's this massive ongoing effort for research and continued optimization to essentially push the EVM forward as a core mission. And there's very few people out there that have that as a primary focus, let alone with the talent that CL has on the team. So I think that's something that is probably quite underrated about Monad. The fact that, like, yes, this thing is on mainnet. The system is good. It is the EVM rebuilt from scratch. It is highly performant. It does have a credible, good faith plan for decentralizing with time. But that's, you know, going to be this ongoing effort over the course of multiple years. And it's kind of like catch me if you can type deal. I think Keone acknowledges this quite
Mm,
well in his response to Vitalik's walkaway
mm,
test, outlining areas that CL has made significant progress on that are more kind of theoretical or goals for Ethereum itself. And so that has me quite excited. I know we're going to have Keone on later to talk about that as well. Not sure if you'd add anything specifically there.
the only thing I'd add is I think an undervalued part, even of that you don't hear a lot about category labs, is just the level of talent and experience that are there. So a good example is we started tracking all of the replay statistics in the database, and I was giving talks different parts of category labs, and we have a dedicated compiler team whose only job is to basically sort of the internal monad compiler faster. And I think there's 10 or 15 people in that team. And like the level, the depth of experience, the width of their knowledge is even I sometimes forget, wow, we really have a giant stable of like super brains basically working on this. So it'll be exciting to see like as they work on more of those projects and we combine stats together. Like
Definitely.
Put the mic closer to him and
Oh yeah, let's
oh, sure.
we'll give
like,
you
turn the mics. Yeah.
oh bingo.
There you go.
There
There
we
we go.
go. Thank you. I don't know if you have anything here. There's a topic that I definitely want to save time for, but we do have time for.
And there's a
Okay.
ton of questions and
I know.
community
I,
questions.
I sifted all the community questions, so I'm ready on that side.
Oh,
But
okay.
Nice,
hit
okay.
the
Let's
topic you
let's
want.
hit this one topic, then we'll take some
Sure.
community
Yeah.
questions. Shout out the community.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're enjoying getting a first look at the CL Alpha here as much as I am. But one thing you pointed out to me offline, well, it was online via
Sure.
message,
Yeah.
but not online on the air here, that I didn't know is you used to work in some capacity on like maintaining the Swift system
Mhm.
at a prior role. And just to kind of tee that up, I'm sure you can explain Swift much better than I can, but it's basically in the traditional world, the TradFi world,
Mhm.
the banking world, it is a messaging layer on which banks kind of coordinate
Mhm.
who has what money is
Yep.
moving where. And Raj, head of payments and stablecoins at the Monad Foundation, recently pointed out to me that the Swift system is pretty interesting because it is actually, in a sense, a bit decentralized
Mhm.
in that there's no single entity that has end to end
Mhm.
control over it. But it's not like super decentralized like a open source
Mhm.
permissionless blockchain system. So that's one thing. Like the current kind of TradFi and banking system is actually to an extent reliant on this decentralized messaging layer,
Mhm.
but it's from the 1970s and it hasn't been updated in really any meaningful
Yes.
capacity for the modern internet. So you have this precedent that the payment system kind of functions on this decentralized messaging layer, but it hasn't been updated in like 50 years. We've made a lot of tech progress in
Mhm.
50 years. So theoretically, it would be a good time to upgrade that system and maybe use another more decentralized and potentially more performant open source permissionless system like, Monad, perhaps. And payments is
Mhm.
obviously going to be a big
Sure.
focus for us this
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
as it is across crypto. So, can you tell us a little bit about your work on the Swift system, and how you see something like Monad potentially pushing the payment system forward, and what are like the realistic potential advantages
Sure.
there?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple key points to make. And so yes, Swift is decentralized, but what's interesting is the software is basically written by one company. I think they have their equivalent of a foundation effectively that gives the software. And because they are the only provider of it, and it's essentially a monopoly, it is very difficult to install. So like the instructions they give you aren't very clear. You have to hire consultants to come in and kind of get it up and running. And then even when you do get it up and running, there are a lot of, I get regulation is not the right word. There are a lot of constraints around how you even run it. So it has to run on a bare metal machine in a locked closet with extra security. If you make any changes, there's literally like a keypad box that you have to go into this closet and USB. It feels very James Bond, like, oh, enter the PIN code with this kind of thing. So It's very hard to set up. The interface, it feels like it's from the 1970s. It's very difficult to use. So if you wanted to get onto that network, there are a lot of roadblocks. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to even just like you have to sign up for it, you have to apply, you have to get reviewed, you have to do up all the software. So the fact that you can go online with commodity hardware, download the Monad software, and for a couple $100 a month, you can get a server, and now you are on the Monad network. Is like, I think that disparity between how easy it is to get on one versus the other is huge. And then also towards another thing I did at the past job was basically moving kind of broker data around. So like if you buy stock, the broker will confirm that you bought that stock. That was moving towards Swift also, which is okay, I guess. But Monad can also do a lot of stuff in the sense that you can have your own transactions, you can move data around yourself. I think it would not surprise me if people move more towards that way over time, if only because it's just so much easier. Like there's less management costs, less operational costs, and I guess the friction, for lack of a term, is a lot lower.
Obviously, this is kind of an opinionated follow-up, but would you see Monad as the best, most high potential network to replace the Swift system?
That's a strongly opinionated statement. I would say Monad is well placed for anything that needs a lot of transactions moving over a global network. So I think that is a big vote in that favor. There are obviously customers and different people want different things, and there's like a lot of regulatory issues involved. So I wouldn't say for sure. I don't know if I can predict the future, but I think a lot of the pieces are already there in the Monad.
What about XRP? Could XRP replace Swift?
I'm not expert enough to kind of comment on that, so I'll have to say no.
Perfect.
I don't know, but
That's what I was looking
yeah.
What do we got from the chat?
Yeah, I have a comment from the chat. Mirth Mono, you need to write way shorter questions. I think there's a couple good. We had like some good one about Rutgers, which I guess his whole family went to, and he did research on you.
Oh god.
And like, I would love to honor the fact that you did all that research, but it's just too long of a question. Make it shorter. We have two questions that are asking kind of similar
Sure.
things, and so I'll paraphrase and combine them. But AOBNAD and
Warsong ID?
Warsong ID. You guys both get spins for these. Essentially, the question is like, what is the single, optimization to Monad that you guys are most proud of? Or like IOBNAD says, what's the single biggest optimization in Monad's execution engine you're most proud of? Warsong ID says, which part of Monad is the team most proud of so far and why? So kind of similar questions like like you clearly have a very good understanding of Monad.
Mhm.
Like what's impressive to you about this?
Sure. I think to me, it's the speed. It's the number of transactions that you can kind of push through the network. I think that's an underutilized. I'd say that's probably my favorite slash underutilized part of Monad. We can handle a lot of transactions. We don't necessarily have a lot of apps that are doing that now, but that space is there. Somebody made the comparison. Older crypto was like dial-up. Monad is more like a cable modem, and it took a while after cable modems for things like Netflix, YouTube, all that stuff to come along. And I think Monad is best placed to do that. From a sort of DevOps perspective, I think the things that we are most proud of is the amount of time and effort we go in to make sure that when we do make releases, that they've been tested correctly, that everything is documented correctly. We integrate very closely with Monad Foundation, so like they will also kind of do test things as well. And then just basically keeping an eye on when validators release it, if there's a problem. We put a lot of tooling to make it easier to report problems. So now if a validator has an issue, they can run a script. It'll basically scrape all the info, upload it. So we've tried to focus on both the performance and then also the support, I guess, if you will. So a good example might be like you're buying a Ferrari when you go to Monad, but you want to make sure that you have a mechanic that knows how to work on it and can help you out. And like we've tried to kind of hit both sides of that, like the speed and the support.
Ferrari's good. We'll take Monad as a Ferrari.
Indubitably.
There are a lot of questions, not a lot of good questions. Shout out the chat. Okay, here is one, and Celestial Natty, I'm just gonna change your question to something that I think is better. but you'll still get credit for it. Um, you have a lot of experience in traditional
Mhm.
finance, now working full time in crypto. From a crypto perspective, like a lot of people have this opinion that the two of them are so different,
Mm.
right? You're like, oh, if you're in crypto, you could never make it in traditional finance. You don't get it. And if you're a TradFi guy, you don't understand crypto at all. Like it's so different. There's no way you could possibly bridge the
Mhm.
gap. Um, you have seen both perspectives. And
Mhm.
so I guess I'm curious on your take on this. Like, are they actually truly that different? Um, and yeah, like how do
Sure.
you kind of think about those two things in comparison to each other?
Yeah, so I'll start with I think some of the differences, and then I'll maybe some things are the same. So, for example, when I was at Hidden Road, we were doing what was called prime brokerage. So basically, people would send orders to crypto exchanges through the company, and a big part of that is called post trade, which is basically making sure, hey, if I was told I bought 100 of Monad, did I actually get 100 of Monad, and make sure the cash goes back and forth. And the crypto exchanges are still figuring out, I think, a lot of the mechanisms there to make it easier to figure out, like, hey, did you actually buy this? Like, what does a report look like? That's very different. Regulatory speaking, it's very different. Audit speaking, it's very different. So in the finance world, you have things like SOC 1 and SOC 2, where they review all of your processes, and every T has to be crossed and I has to be dotted. In crypto, there's less of that. But where it's similar is a lot of the technology is surprisingly the same. So, for example, at Monad, we run on bare metal machines because we want to be as fast as possible. Almost everything we do from a DevOps perspective, you could literally, I could pick up somebody out of that seat and drop them at a hedge fund, and it's almost the same. Like you're working on Linux machines, you're optimizing for networking. Another difference is on the hedge fund side, it's generally your code running on your machines in a data center next to the exchange. So that's very closed. Whereas in crypto, you're on the open internet. Anybody can spin up your code. It's more like being an open source maintainer, which I find very exciting. And I think validators and validating companies is something that I had no knowledge of prior to coming to the crypto land, and that is almost like identical to working in a like a Linux team at a hedge fund, because you have a fleet of servers, they're running code, there's a lot of money involved. If anything breaks, you get paged, and you have to be kind of Johnny on the spot and make sure it's working there. And I was looking at there was some leaderboard about assets under management at some of these validators, and some of them have like $4 or $5 billion in US dollars, basically in crypto, and that's like a small to mid-sized hedge fund. So the money is big on both sides. So anybody that's like, oh, crypto's small, nobody cares about it, I think does not fully understand like the amount of money that's flowing around in it. And almost everybody I've met that ever worked at a validator company, like, Silvio, from MF, Vana and Arjun, Abrar, like a lot of these guys we work with, you know, I would put them head to head with anybody I ever worked with at a hedge fund from a Linux or networking perspective. So
Mhm.
it's interesting. I'm surprised that doesn't go back and forth more often. I think those worlds just don't know about each other, but they should really talk to each other, because I think there's lessons learned. And there are some other people, like I think Jeff Schroeder from Asymmetric, he was also from a Jump Linux world. Like he kind of made that kind of jump as well. So it's not unheard of, basically. So.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, it is one of the things that I've definitely come to really respect about Category Labs and the
Mhm.
people on the team there is they, don't exclusively come from crypto, and they've almost all across the board just been ready to kind of make this jump into a new frontier, which, as Kevin was saying, is a bit more disconnected historically
Mhm.
than they're becoming now. So you have more um real experts from outside of crypto now coming into crypto, applying that expertise for Monad
Mhm.
in particular, which is I would imagine exactly how you can build a performant custom built system from scratch.
100%. Yeah, I think we had people that worked on phones. We had people that worked on browsers. Mike, one of the other guys in the DevOps team, he worked at the New York Times prior to coming here. So it really is. I think that's another one of my favorite parts about working in Category Labs is just the breadth of experience and just talking to people, where they live, what they worked on, their specialties. You know, you really, it's one of the smartest teams I've ever worked with. And one thing you'll see, and this is particularly true on the hedge fund side, you'll see very smart people, and they're good to work with, but they're not fun to work with. I guess Category Labs is a perfect mix of smart, fun to work with, makes good decisions. You know, you can have a quick debate. You debate with them, but the debates get resolved quickly. It's not just like 8 months. Oh, what are we going to do? I don't know. Like we boom, 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 boom. We're making decisions very quickly, and they're generally good decisions. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Beautiful. What more can we ask for? I don't know. What do we got from the chat? Anything else?
I mean, without summarizing Mirth Mono's questions, I think no. We love Mirth Mono, by the way. This is
You did roast him for a very long question and then proceeded to ask a very long question.
Yeah, but it was short in concept.
Shout out Mirth Mono though. He's here with us every week.
Mercy go. That's why I actually wouldn't feel comfortable calling out anyone else's question. That's not good.
Fair enough.
The problem was these questions were too good. You know what I mean? Like we like to ask questions at like a first grade reading level.
No.
This one's like diving into Rutgers. Yes, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
I have one one final kind of follow up
Sure.
to round this out, and I know we're kind of at time here, so we'll make sure we can get you back where you need to be. Yeah, but anything that has you particularly excited around Monad for the year ahead? Anything that you think is currently, maybe common knowledge at CL or, amongst some engineering circles that, maybe the Monad in the Morning listeners are not yet aware of? I'll
Sure.
leave it pretty open-ended.
Yeah, I guess for what we're moving towards more and more automation, make it easier to deploy the network. We're working on performance a lot, so I think as fast as it is now, it will probably get faster. And then I just think I'm curious to see. I think we're moving more towards a world of like more integration, so more apps. So I think that's exciting from my side because that's the world I don't know much about. But a lot of like focus is going there as well. So I think just seeing how that all kind of progresses.
Awesome. Love it. Well, Alex, thank you very much for
Well,
being with us
thank you
today
guys.
on
Thank you,
Monad in
community.
the Morning. We have Alex's correct Twitter handle in the comments, at least your Category Labs Twitter handle at AE Cat Labs, right?
Correct. Yep.
Beautiful. Go follow Alex and follow
It-
Category Labs
Was
as
it
well.
potentially going to be called Lazy Labs?
That was my vote.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
I think there was a point in time where that.
I thought it was sick.
That's
I was like,
kinda
you have
cool.
like a sloth hanging, and that's like the thing. It's the juxtaposition.
Yeah, it was actually kind of legit.
Problem is the entire firm is engineers, so it's not like completely lost on that. But no, I'm joking.
Fair enough. Well, we are going to cut to a brief intermission. We will be back for some spins. We have a couple more guests coming on as well. Shreyas, we're talking about consumer apps, predictions for 2026, prediction markets, and gambling on the blockchain, followed by Keone at 12 o'clock noon Eastern. Keone's going to give us some perspective on the year ahead for Monad Foundation and Monad more broadly. So stick around. Intermission now. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Thanks very much, Alex.
Well, thank you guys.
It was
an
awesome
honor.
to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Pleasure. Great experience.
Joseph, hit it. back and I've got a purple liquid death and I'm ready to
What
murder my thirst. It doesn't even say what flavor.
It's gotta say.
This ruthless tall boy of flavored sparkling water has a twisted plan to use natural agave and exploding bubbles to murder your thirst and recycle your soul. Recycle your soul. Purple can, liquid death. Never tried this before. Fresh out of the closet. No refrigeration. Smell test.
The grape.
I don't even know.
Give it a whack.
Give that a sniff. A cherry?
Has to be grape.
It says
Try
it's
it.
Dr. Death. That's the flavor.
Kind of smells like Dr. Pepper, honestly.
It kind of tastes like a light Dr. Pepper. Is there sugar in here?
It says on it.
Oh yeah,
Death,
4 grams of added sugar. Dr. Death. Oh, okay, I get it now. Dr. Pepper, Dr. Death, Purple Death, murder your thirst.
Do we have another one of those?
I don't know, dude. I literally just stuck my hand in the closet and I came out with this one. I was like, damn, this is a new LD.
I'm curious. So we have something that I guess is hot off the press here. Nikita says that we are revising our developer API policies. We will no longer allow apps that reward users for posting on X, aka InfoFi. This has led to a tremendous amount of AI slop and reply spam on the platform.
Wow.
We
Plato banned.
we
What is
have
their code
revoked
doing right now?
API access from those apps, so your X experience should start improving soon. Once the bots realize they're not getting paid anymore. If your developer account was terminated, please reach out and we will assist in transitioning your business to Threads and Blue Sky.
Kaido token down 20% following this news. Well, honestly,
That was 30 minutes ago.
yeah, honestly, it's gonna fix the problem.
The slop. Yeah.
Like the number one problem, and it's very clear. I think it's been clear to a lot of people for a long time that the InfoFi AI slop farming just like ruined the common grounds. You can almost
no crypto project will ever do Monad's Twitter numbers again from 2024.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's like oh my god, it's like Barry Bonds' home run record.
Yeah.
It's like they started testing for steroids after.
Yeah.
And so it's like no one's ever gonna break that. Or I think there's a bunch of like Olympics records from the 80s. The same thing. It's like the female shot put record is like this Russian woman, and it's like usually they're pretty close, and this one is just so fun. It's like no one will ever touch this. And you're like, I wonder what happened in 1980. Every other record is like within the last 10 years. So, well, would you look at that? I don't know. What do they do? Like, what do you do if you are Kaido now? Like, you can't use
Good
Twitter
old
to
fashioned
do this.
startup pivot.
Is this like a startup obliteration? Like, do you just die? I don't know. Can we get someone from Kaido to come on and talk about this? I will ping.
We have, they probably don't want to.
They probably are. Yeah, if I asked, they'd be like, dude, what the hell?
We're literally in panic mode right now.
Yeah, it's like, it would be like if you work at Monad Nation and then they just came out and were like, Monad's done. Monad is illegal. You're like, all right, well, I don't know.
Hey, you want to come on the roll up and discuss?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was awesome to have Alex on though. We gotta get more of the
Lazy Labs.
legends from Category Labs, almost named Lazy Labs. See, that's what happens. You watch Monad in the morning, you get the lore, you get the news that you wouldn't get otherwise. So hey, what else are you doing on a Thursday morning from 10 to 1 p.m. besides maybe working? But
Or sleeping, depending on where you're at.
yeah, I guess there's a lot of things you could potentially be doing, but the best thing you could be doing is joining us here on Throughput Thursday for the best show on the entire internet, Monad in the morning. Yeah, caught you guys sleeping. That's okay though. But yeah, I mean, it is crazy. Like we've had this kind of unique opportunity, I think, over the past years to interface with the some of the team and engineers over at CL, and like I don't know. I just can't say enough how different the environment kind of feels over there. It is, laser focus on continuing to optimize the Monad stack, the Monad system. One thing I called out is the tweet from Vitalik earlier this week, which Keone replied to. We'll certainly discuss with Keone on the air today. But Vitalik's walkaway test, essentially the roadmap for Ethereum scaling, the new roadmap for Ethereum scaling. Keone replies and he's like, "Hey, by the way,
Where are you
Category
doing
Labs is
this?
like halfway there."
Yeah.
So that's worth paying attention to as well. Not only is there seemingly some degree of consensus now about how the EVM is actually going to be scaled, but it's pretty clear that Category Labs has focused on the right stuff over the past couple of years, and why would we expect that to not continue? Those guys are heads down, full force, making Monad the most performant EVM system there is. Just getting started.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what it's like for Keone to just like quote tweet Vitalik like that. And I can't actually think of a great analogy, which is usually I can at least think of an analogy. It may not
I
be
can
good, but that's kind of my
tell me
yeah,
if
yeah.
this is trash or not. It's kind of like Elon Musk just getting involved in the government with his whole cleanup. What was that called?
Doge.
Doge.
Doge. Yeah.
How could you forget?
I don't know, Jessup. I'm sorry. Thanks for calling me out and making me look like an idiot. But no, it's kind of like you have this long-standing, well-known body, which is the government or Ethereum Foundation on the crypto side, and then you have this guy come along who's played in a different space. For Elon, that's like, I don't know, rocket companies and Twitter and
Mhm.
tech and robotics and all sorts of stuff that's not directly related to the government, but he works with the government very closely through all the grants and stuff that he needs to keep those companies going.
Mhm.
Then on the crypto side,
Comes in,
you
and
have,
that's Keone.
and that's Keone. I wish I could explain this in a non-idiotic way so that you guys could clip it.
No, I hear you.
But
It's like there's the long-standing thing and there's problems, and then Elon's like comes in with new perspective and like this is how I would solve the problems, and then he starts doing it.
and he cleans it up
And
pretty quick.
yeah, it's almost yeah, to me, I'm almost thinking of like if there was a national war, it's almost like the space race, like us and the Soviets trying to get to the moon first. And it'd be like if the Soviets are like, all right, we figured out how to get to the moon. We just need to do these things. And then USA quote tweets them and is just like, oh yeah, by the way, your plan, we already did half of it. And the other half we're working on right now as well.
Maybe that, or you could say like Elon with the rockets, like they're reusing the rockets. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing is like,
It's just this thing where it's like the entity
yeah,
that everyone thinks of is like, all right, we officially have our plan. This is the fine. Like, if we can do this, we're good. And someone else is like, yeah, like nice. We
we're
already did
almost
a
there.
lot. Right, exactly. And so I don't know when and how this happens. Or another time that this has happened in tech, but it clearly has. I just can't think of it.
But I think a lot of it, you have a lot of these upsets that end up happening often. It's like, I think these industries get in their own way, and then the people who are willing to work and be a little more scrappy and work faster solve these problems. And it's like Uber replacing taxis and
Mm.
Airbnb replacing hotels. Like the people who have almost less stakeholders or people to hold them back in a sense. Like they're just out there building and moving while these entities are slow and stagnant.
Oh my goodness, it's 11:18 a.m. Let's spin the wheel.
Holy smokes.
Holy cow, look at the time. What time is it? Time to spin the wheel. Okay, who do we got? I don't think we owe any spins from prior weeks. If we do, make yourselves known. Who did we ask on stream today?
IOBNAT and Warsong.
Okay, let's start with IOBNAD. IOBNAD up first. This spin is for you. Pass me to the wheel. All right, let's spin it up for IOBNAD.
Put that in the middle. Don't hold that. That's gonna be.
IOBNAD. I've also been
Wow,
seeing a
look at
lot
that.
more tweets from IOBNAD recently.
IOBNAD is
Growing.
growing.
He's a grower and a shower.
However, I will say, please don't tag me in everything because it destroys my.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're. How can you say that? You said you only see AI content
And the
and
tags.
Arc Raiders content. Don't you want the tags so you can get pulled back into the monad sphere?
I mean, but it's just like you get replies that are not related to something I can reply to.
Oh, okay.
So I miss
Alright.
the things that I should be replying to and real notifications from people that are asking me something, not just like random things.
Okay, so if you tweet and you want Just Up to see it, make sure you send him an email with your tweet
Actually,
linked in it.
yeah, could you send me a postcard, please?
Send Just Up a postcard to make sure that he sees your tweet. But shout out IOBNAD. This spin is for you, my friend. What do we got? First spin of the day.
100.
100 mon. 100 mon going to IOBNAD. Hey, that's not bad for a morning on Monad in the morning. Next up, Warsong ID. Let's see what we got. Shout out Warsong. Warsong's been coming in every week, asking the good questions, seeing you a bit on Twitter. Let's keep it going. I like it. I like it. Warsong ID. What do we got?
Big wheel.
Big wheel. I believe this is actually Warsong's second spin on the big wheel.
All right, we ready?
We are ready for Warsong
Oh, holy
ID.
shit.
This thing's got some grease on it. I like it. This thing spins for
Oh.
days. We got to put a motor on the back.
Oh.
What's it gonna be?
Oh,
Oh, very nice.
That's the biggest.
12,345.
Holy shit. Damn.
Do some math on that. That's a good one.
I think
I
look,
legally cannot, but
look,
that is a hell of a win.
look, people do not understand. Jessup, get me on the close up here because people do not understand. I got to put this wheel right in front of me. Bingo. Either angle, they're both good. People do not understand. I think if you're watching Monad in the morning, you do understand. But the broader crypto, I do not think understands that we are giving away Mon, engaging with the audience on every single show. If you hang out with us on Monad in the morning and you're having a good time, you're asking questions in the chat, you're clipping, you're commenting, if you are an engaged viewer, you are getting spins week over week. You can walk away with, I don't know how much that equates to currently in USD, but it's not too shabby. 12,000 Mon, and the big wheel goes way bigger than 12,000 Mon. Like you can win a pretty good prize just by hanging out here with us on Monad in the morning. Then if you go above and beyond, if you're clipping, if you go on TikTok and you help grow this show, we're gonna spin for you.
You know what's epic too is Mirth Mono. That would have been your spin. It's a shame, but like I was looking at, I'm like,
That's just rubbing salt in our boy Mirth Mono's
shout out Mirth.
wound.
You'll get another spin.
Also, Monkey Duffy, I am okay with being tagged if I'm in it or it's like literally related to me. It's the things that I'm not. It's like tagging me just so that I see what you're doing doesn't feel genuine.
Oh, okay. I now I better understand what you're saying, and I have a tip for those whose inclination is to say like, oh, let me tag Jessup or let me tag Bill Monday because I want to make sure they see this tweet that I've been working on because that's understandable. That's a very logical path to follow. But if you are thinking about how do I increase visibility on the tweet, it is actually much better to spend the time optimizing the tweet itself to go viral because if you create a good tweet about Monad and it goes viral, we are certainly going to see it, especially since Nikita thankfully fixed our algorithm. So rather than finding ways to solve the problem that are like adjacent to the core problem, solve the core problem itself. I'm not saying it's easy, but look at the way that intern tweets. Kids viral with almost every tweet. Look at the way Tunes tweets. Look at the way
Don't look
other
at the way
people.
Tunes tweets.
Yeah, sorry. I
Just
I
kidding, I'm
misspoke
kidding,
there.
I'm
Do
kidding.
not look at the way Tunes tweets. That will be leading you down a very dangerous path. But look at the way that viral posters on CT get engagement. Find ways to emulate that. Look at the way that the current algorithm is boosting or not boosting tweets, and people will see it for sure. I'm not saying that this is super easy. I'm pretty bad at tweeting myself, but I believe in you. I believe in your growth on Twitter, and it is better to go viral than to get awareness on your tweet by tagging people in it or DMing it to them. So that is my tip, I guess. What
Great.
intern? What would you say? Because I think we have a lot of up and comers in the chat here that probably would love a tip or two on how they can make their tweets go more viral. So are there any like tips or any sort of framework that you would give? Obviously the hook is really
Yeah.
important, but if someone wants to take their tweets from averaging like, I don't know, 15 to 50 likes and they want to go up into like the couple hundred
Yeah,
and
yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
breakout of 500 or 1,000, like
Yeah, if you're at that level where it's like tens of views, definitely like it's more strategy over form. Like the way that you're typing it is like you can't be awful at that, but like just be generally okay with that. Um, you basically need to lean in and draft someone or something that's going to boost your account, because that's how you're going to get like the initial amount. So for example, to use the pipeline, um, we are so explicit and so clear that we want clips of the pipeline circulating across Twitter. Clearly, we say this every episode. We're giving out free mon for people to do this. You know exactly what we want. If you would like to grow, like draft the pipeline, clearly, if you find a clip or make some tweet that makes the pipeline look good, we're gonna promote that. And then a lot of people that follow the pipeline will then go and follow you. And so you can do this across many different things. I know, like for myself early on, making tweets about CMS when I was a CMS intern, the CMS account would then highlight it. I would write notes on the SBF and FTX, RIP. Well, actually, not really RIP. He's kind of a scumbag. Definitely. But they liked that content, so they would promote it from their accounts, which were much larger than mine, and then I would get a lot of followers from that. So like you can't just go and tweet into the void and then be like, yeah, this is definitely gonna work unless you have like super extreme specific knowledge. So, like provide value. Usually providing value to an account that has a large following is the best way to do that in draft. If you are smart enough or good enough to just provide value in general from your own tweets and you think people will come to that, like that can work. But like if you want to grow quickly, like go and type up notes on every thread guy stream and tweet them at him and he's gonna retweet it and then you're gonna like get followers and views on that, like clearly.
So one thing Danny just talked about is that there's not enough people that know that you can win Mon, how to win Mon, and anything like that. That is a topic that you could write about, clip, montage of people winning big things. Like if you promote that, that is something that we could probably share off the pipeline because it's directly promoting something that we've talked about. So it's like use the topics and the things that we've literally hinted at being important to us, and then that
You
shares.
literally just go say good things about something with a high following that has a high chance of retweeting you. Like that's just like that's definitely the game. And then once you have your own audience, own following, the game changes a little. But like starting out, that's just the thing.
And then there's one other thing that I would add here. Do it for the long term. We always say no shortcuts. It's kind of a mantra around Monad, and it's very true. if you are just trying to fire off a quick clip as quickly as you can so that you hopefully get a spin the next week, or if you're just firing off a random question in the chat to try and get a spin, like sure, you might get a spin, you might get a couple mon, but that's not going to compound over the long term. But if you make a concerted effort and are continually growing on Twitter, you're posting clips, maybe Pipeline shares 1 out of 5 of those clips. Over time, you're drafting off the pipeline, you're kind of growing off the pipeline's growing audience as well. And then you're much better positioned for other opportunities in the ecosystem beyond just getting a spin on the next Throughput Thursday, as awesome as it is. So approach it from a long term mindset. Um, Definitely quality over quantity is the secret sauce there. And with that, I'm gonna go get Shreyas so we can talk about 2026 consumer apps, how we think gambling on chain is going to evolve over the next year. Intern, want to hit a science corner or something?
Well, I have a question. Because speaking of consumer, did you end up downloading Arc Raiders?
I have not downloaded Arc Raiders. I am addicted to this PGA Tour game.
Still?
Yes, dude, it's so good. And so I only play PlayStation. So my old average PlayStation days per week was 0 for the last like 8 years. I was just like done with it. And then I got my dad a PlayStation for Christmas. Then I was playing. I'm like, this is actually epic. I should buy one of these again. So I got one, and now I'm playing this PGA game. Um,
You gotta get on
I
it.
got to get Arc Raiders.
You
Dude.
do,
Everyone
dude.
is saying it's like
You
the new. The problem is like I don't have like a squad. Like I'm not like talking to
but
my
it's
boys in science class in 8th grade and be like, "Yo, 6 p.m. tonight,
I
let's
will
create a
be your
clan."
squad.
Okay, I need a
I
squad.
will
That's
be
why.
your squad.
I need a squad that plays from 8 p.m. to 8:45 p.m.
Perfect.
and I'm in.
All right. We've got Shreyas here. It's been a while, at least, since we had you on the
I don't think
pipeline.
I've ever come in the pipeline.
He's not.
It's my
Yeah.
first time.
Pipeline debut. All
Let's
right.
go.
Long overdue. We have Shreyas. Shreyas leads consumer here at Monad Foundation. We've got certainly a lot to chat about, but give us a little bit of an intro to the audience, to the chat, given this is your inaugural appearance on Monad in the Morning. And of
Yeah.
course, welcome.
Cool. Thanks for having me and for inviting me so late to the pipeline. But I lead consumer at Monad. I was previously a co-founder at Llama, which was a governance and access control product for crypto protocols. Ultimately, we sold the product to Towns, a consumer company, and I work closely with Evan on the Monad team. We really are, kind of onboarding the best consumer apps to build on Monad. There's a lot of focus on prediction markets, sports betting, really any interesting intersection between consumer and financial experiences. And yeah, also looking for Monad to be a home for like power users and traders of consumer apps.
Beautiful. Love it. Well, you also published your thesis essentially on consumer for 2026. I'm sure.
You have it linked under the show, correct?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Check this out. Easily the best thing that's dropped so far.
It is linked. Do you mind if I move this a little
yeah,
bit?
sure.
So in the clip zone, as we say. Also, if you do need another water, we have a liquid death on hand for you. I'm on my 3rd liquid death of the show already. So they are our friends.
We're not allowed to say the word.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't even know how we're supposed to talk about it. But Liquid Death are our friends. They sent us some free waters, and Dr. Death some flavored sparkling water, and we've been murdering our thirst every pipeline episode since. So shout out Liquid Death, the unofficial official friend of the pipeline. But yeah, let's break it down. So we've got the consumer thesis, if you will, which came out right around the new year. That's linked below this live stream tweet on X. So run it up, share it around, and we're gonna unpack it for the next half hour or so. A lot of awesome takes in there.
Yeah. So I think one way we could start unpacking this is about 5 years back, I wrote this post called "Investing is Entertainment." And I think that thesis is played out maybe even more so and accelerated over the last 5 years. Um, and so investing is entertainment today. And so something like Robinhood doesn't just compete with interactive brokers and Charles Schwab, they compete with TikTok and Instagram. So if you open the Robinhood app and you go to a stock like Tesla, the first thing you see is not to buy the stock. The first thing you see is trade options. If you go to the search button and you scroll down, you kind of get like an infinite scroll, like TikTok. And then you have personalized recommendations on what you should buy and sell, like top movers, losers, kind of like a For You page. And so investing didn't look like this, right? A few decades back, people would uh, save some money to buy a house in a suburb somewhere. They would save some money for retirement in a Fidelity 401k account. They don't look at it for 40 years until they retire, and then they spend like after they retire, they spend that amount on healthcare for 10 to 15 years, and then they die. But today that's not how people just view things, because I think that traditional American dream is kind of dead when home prices are at 7 times median income. Um, the average student takes 20 years to pay off their debt. Um, Health insurance premiums have gone up 4x since 2000, and people also live longer. So I think people want more control over their financial lives, and they're kind of taking much more aggressive, like wilder swings to achieve financial freedom. And so I had a line in my post something like the new American dream is to get rich quick. And I think underlying that is a feeling that people want to get out of this like permanent underclass. But what enables this is actually the access, right? Because I think even if people wanted to do this a few decades back, you didn't have a smartphone in your pocket. I remember reading a stat on Vegas, saying something like if you were within like 50 miles of Las Vegas, you're 2 times more likely to gamble. Um, which seems obvious when you think about it. And so what if you're like what if Vegas is like 5 inches from you and not 50 miles from you,
Mhm.
through your smartphone? And so
You
that's
sleep with it on your pillow
yeah,
every night. Vegas is right there,
exactly.
and it's positive EV.
Yeah, and Vegas is kind of in your dreams, and you kind of you just have access to you know uh, 0 day options and perpetuals and like crypto trading and meme coins and stocks, etc. A cool stat is 59% of total S&P options volume is 0 day options. So it's options that expire within a day, which are effectively like gambling-esque instruments, right? And so people clearly have demand for this, and I think this is just it. It seems like it's happened for a while, but it's actually the trend line is just up and to the right. So I did like a rough math on the number of monthly active traders across all these categories, and my number, it's like an estimate, is something like 150 million today. And so if you just project that out, at some point we're going to have a billion active traders. And I think that's pretty unprecedented in human history. And that affects a lot of consumer behavior, a lot of even how products are positioned. I was actually in India for a few weeks, and I remember just ordering something in a restaurant. And when you're paying the check, there's an option to like spin a wheel. Um, and you can get a discount if you land at the right spot. You can get your whole meals free if you arrive at a certain number. And so there is like a lotrification of a lot of different consumer experiences, and I think it increases engagement, makes things fun for people, and people clearly want it.
Mhm.
Spin the wheel sounds like Monad in the morning. Sounds like they've been watching Monad in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't literally invent the wheel though. But I like this bit about, or your point about the American dream, because I think the American dream has always been seen as opportunity based, right? Like I can come to America, this land of freedom and opportunity, and I can make it. I can provide for my family. I can get a house. I can secure financial freedom. But sure, the opportunity is important. And if you really boil that down, the American dream is actually just to get rich quick. And so while some people may say the American dream is dead because median home prices are way up and it's just harder to get by these days, the American dream is actually more alive than ever because the American dream is to get rich quick. And now with smartphones, with um, tokenization, with blockchain right in people's pockets, with the ability to gamble right in people's pockets, the opportunity to make it has never felt more real. And it's also never felt more important.
Mhm. Yeah, and then a few additional things to that is one, that dream is exported through the smartphone to billions of people around the world. And then two, the um, through like social media, you're kind of seeing physical, like you're seeing real people, you're seeing evidence of this, and so um, I think traders are becoming this celebrity class, where you are seeing people like Remus, which is a trader who's a trader on crypto Twitter. He invested like $375, and I think the latest is he's made $1 million. And so he is seen as, yeah, as kind of a hero on crypto Twitter. He's, celebrated for like reviving the meme coin trenches and for being this like beacon of hope, and it's almost like he's like a war hero or something, like returning from like World War I, which is also like the reference of meme coin trenches itself, right? Like trenches are a reference to trench warfare, where people would spend months like in mud and among rats and exploding shells, and they would just die in a few months. And now like trenches refer to like an online group that's buying a meme coin. And there is this sense that we don't have that like physical danger anymore, and so we kind of seek out this danger in the virtual world. Peter Thiel had this line like instead of violent wars, we can have violent video games. And I think that kind of applies to things that you could do with your smartphone, where you could kind of experience these um, really interesting amusement park rides without leaving a toilet.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, it's such an interesting, like, I don't think a lot of people take it seriously, like the application of, oh, I'm in the trenches, like I'm looking for that next 100x, 1000x, like I'm in the group chat 18 hours a day, and like sure, that's not necessarily an easy way to live, but like the trenches of World War One over 100 years ago, like I don't know, 1917, call it. Like you were drafted, you had no option, and you were put on a boat to go across. Like if you were coming from the U.S., you were going across the Atlantic Ocean to again live in the mud, in absolute filth, rain, snow, freezing cold, rats, no food, and then like once a week or even a couple times a week you would have enemies like in close combat with you with like essentially spears on the end of your gun, and just like living in absolute crazy poor conditions.
But
Mhm.
when you came home, you could afford to buy a house.
Right,
So
and that's the thing. So now people are in the meme coin trenches to try and get that 100x, that 1000x, because it is so unrealistic for a lot of people to come out of school with all this debt. Now, the median home price is what you said, 7x the average income. Like that just feels unachievable if you're making, mid to high five figures a year, which is like a pretty good job. That's well above average.
Hmm.
So it's just, I guess the evolution of the same struggle with just different kind of problems, different conditions along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have not read this, by the way, go to at hello Shreyas and don't bookmark it so you read it later. Just read it now. Dead serious. It is honestly one of the most well written things that I've read in a very long time.
Yep.
My favorite part is just the investing is entertainment. Would love to double click on this. Like it is become like very, very clear. And so we've seen this accelerate over time. I think there's a lot of trends that come together that lead to this outcome, right? Like phone in your pocket. Now we're increasingly online. Um, there is uh, like almost like more volatility in the world, right? When companies come to market and become successful, it happens much quicker than it did in the past. And so there's also people that believe that they have insight on like, is ChatGPT good? Is Gemini good? And it's going to grow so quickly that then I can make money on that. Um, I guess my question to you would be like, it is a very good explanation for what has happened over the last 10 years. But maybe if we're trying to predict like 5 years from now,
Mhm.
like what are some outcomes that you could see as like, you know,
Yeah.
potentially what the future of this could look like? Because there's kind of the yeah, I'll just leave the
I
question
think
like that.
first, like the drivers of this, I think there's like demand and supply, right? Like the demand is like the desire for people to invest in this way and to speculate. And I think we laid out some of the, like the things in America, for example, like home prices and student debt and stuff that maybe lead people to do that. But I think actually overwhelmingly it's driven by supply, which is we live in a world where billions of people have a smartphone, and a smartphone in every pocket is kind of like a casino in every pocket. And regulation has really changed too. Like something like 0-day options just weren't a thing like 20 years back. The CBOE had to expand like daily options trading, and that took a while. And it was really only till 2016 where 0-day options were available 5 days a week. And so I think I actually one of my first post in this blog, my blog's called dopaminemarkets.com. My first post in this was studying ancient Rome. And so I remember reading this book. It's a really good book it's The History of Financial Speculation. And there was this line in it that was talking about how in ancient Rome people believed that speculation yielded more than hard work. And people would say that line today, right? And so I was like, oh, that's interesting that also happened in the peak of an empire. And it usually happens at the peak of a lot of different empires, that speculation increases. And over 50% of Romans, gambled on dice. They bet on gladiator games, and it was pretty prevalent. But it was illegal, and it was immoral, and it was regulated by the church. And you didn't have a smartphone, you didn't have global liquidity. And so the difference today is that you kind of have you have insane amount of liquidity. Your upside is like just like generation defining. And I think if you gave ancient Romans a smartphone, like they would use it the same way that we do. I don't think we're like unusual in the way we use it. I think we have the same genetics and evolution. There was a tweet that I sent this to you earlier, Danny. It was Guat. I think he tweeted something like, "If you like giving," can you put out the exact tweet?
Yeah.
It's funny. But it's something like if you expose a tribe in
Yeah, so I'll read it. I'll read it verbatim. So Gort, shout out Gordy Gort, says in a tweet, direct quote: "When Robinhood launches perps for all these 0-day options traders in the US, it's going to be like showing that uncontacted tribe in the Amazon that they can watch porn on their phone now."
yeah, I mean it's like even something like porn, viewership. Like if people, it's not unusual that people watch porn. It's more unusual that actually it's like accessible like 24/7. So I think it's predominantly like an access thing, and it's it's something that once like the the cat's out of the bag, and now it's kind of up into the right. And I think what most people like, especially in this space, like will understand it. I think what people don't do is take the trend line really seriously. So
Mhm.
if you just like really project this out, and you're like, hey, we have over 100 million monthly active traders, we're just gonna keep going unless something really changes, right? Because everything is being financialized. Every second founder that I speak to like is working on adding a financial aid or something, and helping like some interest group or a demographic speculate that they weren't before. Like I remember someone once told me like, hey, who's like not speculating enough? Korean grandmas online, and he was right. Like where they don't have like as much interesting like online sort of products for them to use. So
Mm.
I think founders will kind of tackle like a lot of different parts of the stack. And Uh, you'll have like a 10-year period of like chaos, and I think a lot of mania and a lot of degeneracy and a lot of scams too. But I think what results from this actually, like after 10 years, is a few markets will survive. And so I actually compare this to like commodities trading or derivatives trading, where people view this as like gambling for retail,
Mm.
and people were very scared that this would have a bad effect on society. Um, but right now, like we're not gambling on like, orange prices and pork bellies and oil futures and stuff. Like it's actually pretty useful to the world that you have prices for these things. And so I think same with prediction markets and with sports betting too. Like you'll have some outcome of this that is um interesting, but it'll just take a while to get
Yeah.
there.
One thing that I think is interesting on this, and as somebody who's written about this and thought about it a lot, I'm curious to hear your take. There is speculation in gambling, which is not valuable to society, and then there's speculation in gambling that is valuable to society. And so, for example, um, sports betting generally not valuable to society. Like you can think of it as like the expected value that you're paying is basically paying for you to be more interested in the game. Like it's more of a fee to care more. Um, but like it doesn't do anything for society, right? Like if anything, more people watching more sports and that's all they care about, like it's probably net negative. That's it's just subjective, right? But like it's not a valuable thing. Um, with these, like the vast majority of this kind of speculation, dopamine markets, everyone betting on stocks and things, like generally it's tech focused, and generally speculation on tech is actually valuable to society in the same way that a venture capitalist is valuable to society, right? Like they think that this thing will create a lot of um, economic value, and so they put up the funds, they speculate that it actually will be. They put up the capital early, and because they put up the capital, then the people can actually build the thing, and then value gets created. And so you can think of doing this in public markets in like kind of a similar way, right? Like if you really like Tesla's new Optimus 3 robot and you think that it's going to be huge and you buy Tesla stock as a result of that, their stock goes up. They have more capital to play with that actually helps them bring this to market. And so I guess like is most people when you talk about this just assume it's a bad thing.
Yep.
And I guess I would be curious and like how
Yeah.
you think about that component of it.
No, uh I think one, like I said before, you'll only know in retrospect, like the markets that are truly valuable because they need to like settle and markets will decide this. So, for example, let's take prediction markets, right? Like there's a prediction market right now on like nearly everything. Taylor Swift's like proposal or,
Mm.
uh,
Everything.
yeah, but
Literally
pretty much,
everything.
literally everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and there's a lot of manipulation too. There's a lot of insider trading on this because Taylor Swift's best friend would know when she's gonna get proposed to or whatever. Um, but um, but then eventually, only some markets will have a lot of liquidity and they'll have a lot of volume and they'll attract like professional funds to trade them and they'll have hedge funds like use the prediction market to arbitrage like their like stock trade. And I think it would just take a while to see. I mean, my sense is like Taylor Swift's proposal wouldn't make it to that cut, but
Mhm.
maybe there
It
is
might, dude.
it might.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people love Taylor Swift.
exactly.
It's
So
like
it
crazy.
totally might, and I that's where like I think it's hard to have just a very strong like subjective intuition because these things can surprise you. And so I think that's like one side of the thing. Which the best analogy I could think of is commodity futures, where these things you just don't know um, what like prices are useful for, and so uh, I think election outcomes are like the an amazing example of this, where prediction markets are extremely useful. Like it's yeah, if you have CNN and Polymarket pulled up on your phone side by side. I guess now CNN's integrated Kalshi or Polymarket, so
Mhm.
at this point there's no difference. But yeah, clearly like prediction markets surface information much quicker. But then the other question is what you were pointing to, which is these like speculative manias. And I do think there's evidence that speculative manias actually fund very important public goods over America's history. Like if you think of railroads and internet stocks and um, oil too, like there's just a lot of instances where it actually takes like an excess of investment in a certain space to like result in a few players like thriving and
Mhm.
succeeding. I think what's happening now is a little different though. Like there is like AI, for example, is in the speculative mania phase where there's like a ton of investment in AI. Maybe some of it won't work out, but you fast forward 10 years out and it'll be clear that this was maybe worth it because this is a like a category defining technology. But I think the idea of a billion active traders is something orthogonal to that, which is more a secular shift than a mania cyclical thing, which is um, we're like just constantly onboarding like net new um, traders, investors among retail, and they're actually sticking around. Like
Yeah.
unlike the 1929 crash where a bunch of people came and then they left. I don't think these people are leaving after a crash. Like I think it reduces because there's mania, but I don't think it comes down to like we're at 1 million
Yeah.
active traders.
One thing that comes to mind with this is uh like for humans, evolution is like one of the driving forces, or like that is the driving force for like us getting better moving forward. And like in the past, like thousands of years ago, like being physically capable was like the most important thing for survival. And so
Mhm.
like those are the people that made it forward. And now, and like 50 years ago is like normal desk jobs if you could do that competently and like work your way up within a company. Like entrepreneurship was not a thing that was that valuable in general. Like being a good employee was very valuable. And so like people who were good at that ended up being successful. I think that now, like say with a billion active traders, like the thing that values society, or the thing that society is valuing, is being able to predict the future better than other people.
Mm.
And so this seems almost like a new shift in
Mm.
what is actually valuable to the human race, to society.
Yep.
Um, and being able to predict the future is like, or to be able to predict the future better than other people is how you accumulate capital. And then like you actually get more leverage to do more things with the capital moving forward.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
there's an argument that like true intelligence is the ability to predict. And so AGI is not accomplished until AGI can truly predict well.
Mm,
And I think you actually have two competing forces in some ways. You have AGI's attempt to predict the future, and then you have markets' attempt to predict the future. Crypto plays a role in this, but I think it's bigger, which is just markets generally, right? And I think, and there's an intersection between two at some point. But if you just for simplicity take those two as separate things, I think markets actually are extremely good at pricing things, which is why prediction markets are super interesting because they you just have people who if you pool money across a lot of people, like you actually can have um, like live news priced at the right odds, and so we'll actually see. Um, I do know like there are like agents built on the best models that are trying to do this, and at some point maybe they serve as like inputs to like they're betting on prediction markets too, and they're even improving this. But I agree. Like I think it's one of the reasons why traders are like emerging as this celebrity class too. And in some ways, crypto is leading this. But it's going to the normie world too. Like I saw a tweet of someone starting a meme coin like trading club in high school. Um, Increasingly, you just have uh, people and their ability to like use their like information to make a bet and predict the future, like being quite valuable. Um, whether the percentage of people who could do that well is pretty low, but I think the aggregate value of the market is quite useful for certain things and
mhm.
not useful for others. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanna also, as part of this, like read your actual tweet that you referenced a couple minutes ago because I think it's a banger. So for the chat, no, these are not all original ideas. I'm going to steal some of Shreyas's ideas here, and you should also follow him at Hello Shreyas on Twitter. But I think like Polymarket 2-3 years ago, it existed, Nobody knew it existed. Now, and even a year ago, most people in the US and probably most people on earth discovered Polymarket through the election because it was so good at being the source of truth, the early source of truth for the outcome of that election. Then the conversation evolves as you have more and more markets being added. For example, when is Taylor Swift getting married? And then now there's this conversation of like, oh, is this gambling? Is it not gambling? Is it helpful? Is it harmful? And basically, your point, to steal your words, is it doesn't matter. We're going to try all of this out. The next decade will be unhinged. We will run an unprecedented experiment to financialize everything: private companies, politics, foreign policy, sports, celebrity gossip, memes. Things will get even more reckless and degenerate than they are today. We'll discover the limits of what can and cannot be financialized, what attracts liquidity, what's legally and morally acceptable. And out of that chaos, some markets will survive. They'll mature to resemble trading commodity futures like oil, oranges, or pork bellies. These were once considered gambling for retail, but now provide useful price discovery and are overwhelmingly traded by professional funds. And I think this perspective on the evolution of prediction markets and basically speculation and gambling on everything and anything is really cool to have that comparison to how this could evolve, because there's no point in debating whether prediction markets are gambling or not because the activity is happening. So it's like, how do we classify this? Well, that doesn't matter. The market will tell you what is useful and what's not useful in, what's going to be able to attract liquidity versus what can't attract liquidity. What do people ultimately want to trade? And that want of what they want to trade ultimately signals what's valuable for them to trade. And
Yeah.
so maybe 50 years ago that people were saying, hey, you shouldn't be able to, essentially place a bet on whether oil or oranges or pork bellies are going to go up and down because, ooh, that's gambling. But then ultimately that helps those markets price accurately, and now they're being traded by professional funds. And so basically it seems like your thesis is this is going to play out not only for things like commodities, oil, oranges, pork bellies, but everything that you could possibly gamble on or wager on, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter because it's happening.
Yeah, yeah. If you would like kind of like law of gravity, right? Like if it exists, you can argue if it's good or bad. But I think it exists, and I think what's more important is actually taking it really seriously. And I think you're gonna have like definitely some like bad markets and bad outcomes and bad behavior. But then if you project out 10 years or 15 years, it's very hard for me to imagine something that like the thing that has like the most volume or that has a lot of adoption being a market that is truly like useless. It's just like not how most of history has gone, and if it is useless in a way that we think now, it wouldn't be useless in a way that people in the future think, right? Because if you think of even jobs today, right? Like what you guys are doing is a live stream or a podcast. Would that be considered a job? 100 years back, that would just be insane. Like that is you know uh, people 100 years back said post-industrial revolution, like you would not have to work, and it's not true. Like we're working, but what we
Just do
do,
different things.
yeah, we just do different things. And so I think the same way about some of these markets too, where even if they're laughable today, if they persist like a few decades from now, then either they're truly important, like in the way we perceive it today, or they're important in a way that we don't perceive today, but they're actually important to the future people. So
Great point. Great point. Love it. I know we're over time here, and we've got Keone coming on in just a moment. Shreyas, thanks for being here.
well, thank you
First,
guys.
but not last, Monad in the Morning episode. Any final wisdom or alpha or thoughts that you want to leave our legendary viewers with?
No, yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, we're speaking to and onboarding a lot of interesting consumer apps in this space, and I think a lot of people on the team have very interesting insights. If you're building something in consumer, just hit me up on Twitter, and we're always excited to try new products.
Oh yeah, and
Beautiful.
follow at Hello Shreyas, one of, if not the smartest guy posting about this topic. So if it resonated with you, you will definitely like more of his content moving forward. Hell yeah, was a
Well,
blast to
then,
have you on. Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Thank you, guys.
Seems like a crazy that this is the first time. This should be like almost a weekly segment.
yeah, first, but certainly not last. We will be back in just a minute after a very, very brief intermission. We have Keone coming on, so stick with us. We'll be right back. Thanks, Trace.
You're back.
We are back for our final segment of the day. Last but certainly not least, pumped to have Keone back on Monad in the morning. A lot to catch up on. It's the start of a new year, which is quite exciting. And that largely means putting together plans for what needs to get done in 2026. So, first of all, know it's a busy time. Appreciate you being here, carving out half hour to join us here on Monad in the morning. Thanks, Keone.
Yeah, of course. Great to be here.
How's everything going? 2026 off to a good start?
It's great. Yeah, there's so much to do. Really excited.
Definitely. And speaking of plans for 2026, a lot going on here at Monad Foundation. We heard a bit from Alex Elliott at Category Labs earlier in the show about little bit on the CL outlook for 2026, some of the priorities and focuses there.
Mm.
But you took that to the timeline essentially. Vitalik published some thoughts on his walkaway test for scaling Ethereum, and you very quickly responded. So it seems like you have a pretty strong idea of what needs to get done, not only for the EVM itself to push forward into new frontiers of scalability and adoption, but specifically for Monad. And it seems like there's a degree of aligned thinking across the EVM space now about how that scaling is going to happen. But maybe just starting from a very high level, any um, summary of thoughts based on Vitalik's walkaway test.
Yeah, I think that it starts with, we're all trying to build really resilient systems that are capable of existing for decades, centuries. Um, it's kind of crazy to think about like what the world will be like 100 years from now. But we'd really like for um, yeah, the systems that everyone is contributing to, that many builders are contributing to be something that lasts for a really long time, even when conditions change substantially. And I think part of that is about building systems at scale, systems that maintain scalability under really decentralized conditions. Something that is just true of the Monad network right now is that it is very decentralized and it is very um, um, future proofed, or much further ahead in terms of the trade off between decentralization and scalability, because of all of the new architectures that have been introduced in the form of async execution, the new database that is relying on SSD scaling rather than RAM scaling. SSDs are several orders of magnitude more efficient, cheaper than RAM, and having a system that can scale while just relying on SSD. So Vitalik kind of threw out this 7 point program for things that Ethereum needs to achieve in the future in order to be more resilient and more future proofed. And I think the great position that Monad is in and the Monad ecosystem is in is that Monad is far ahead in several of those dimensions and has significant progress in several other of those 7 dimensions, and then is working on several of the others.
Gotcha. And I would imagine there's more, I guess, risk and challenge to a degree, for Ethereum as this system that's been live for 10 years with a ton of capital locked in it. Maybe a bit more, um, risky or scary to make changes under the hood, knowing that it's going to affect that live system, as opposed to historically the positioning for Monad, which is we're starting from scratch. We're rebuilding this system the way that we believe that it should be designed to be fundamentally optimized. And you don't, in the pre-mainnet phase, have all this risk of capital that's already in the system and contingencies and dependencies across a global network. Do you see that as an advantage to getting Monad to the state where it is today, in your words, kind of far ahead of Ethereum in terms of that some of the things that Ethereum is now going to focus on implementing for scaling have already been done out of the box for Monad Mainnet.
Yeah, well, I think now with Monad Mainnet, the conditions are very similar in the sense that um, we seek no downtime. There's a lot of TVL on Monads. There's a lot of capital at stake, at risk already. Um, I think at this point the conditions are the same, maybe like different magnitudes, but equally important. In the previous couple of years, yeah, it's true that building a system from scratch, afforded opportunities to just go straight to the problems that really matter and just focus on those rather than focusing on maintainability. But um, yeah, I think at the same time, Monad is a system that is designed to interface with everything else that folks in the rest of the ecosystem have built, whether those are indexers or block explorers, wallets, applications, um, monitoring systems. Everything works out of the box. So there was a lot of retrofitting that needed to be done, and that was just part of like getting to where we are now. But now having launched the mainnet and now Monad is at feature parity with respect to all interfaces. Everything works out of the box, but it's all built from scratch. So the team behind it, the Category Labs team, just is intimately familiar with all parts of that stack because they built it all from scratch. And it's a lot easier for them to add new capabilities or advance the ball forward from where it is right now. So I think it's a combination of um, yeah, being live in mainnet with a lot of TVL with a modest amount of activity that'll grow over time. That combined with full feature parity, getting to that point, catching up in some senses, and now being at feature parity with a new stack that's really performant, where now advances can be made in the future that in a much faster way also.
Yeah, I think the story of Monad in 2025 was a ton of hard work and finishing touches to get Monad mainnet live. And so it cannot be overstated the amount of time and effort and work that went into the actual launching of the mainnet itself, right? Like over 3 years um, spent dedicated to designing and building the blockchain. And so 2025 was essentially the moment where, okay, it's in the real world now. It has touched reality and it did not break. And it's like there were a lot of variables, and now we know where they sit. And then it seems like the story for 2026 for Monad will be a story of kind of accelerated adoption of the chain itself. And so I think, you know, certainly it was the largest pre-launch ecosystem to ever exist. I think over 100 projects dedicated to launching on Monad before it was even live. And so that has created like some traction or economic activity on chain that Monad's currently facilitating. And then the goals and outlook for 2026 is basically to accelerate and to build on that. But I guess I would ask your like your opinion or perspective, or like what do you think for 2026? Or like what are some of the goals or things that you would like to see happening in 2026 for the Mana blockchain?
Yeah. I agree with you that um, yeah, right now is about growing quickly and having now proven out the technology and proven out that things that we've been saying for a long time are true. Anyone can look at the code, anyone can try running an experiment, anyone can try pushing thousands of TPS to the chain in a highly distributed manner, and it just works. Um, Now is about growing adoption. I think another thing in my head very heavily is that AI tools have they're just so much more powerful than they were even 6 months ago, or but certainly more than 1 or 2 years ago. So I think it's really going to accelerate the pace at which any builder can experiment and build prototypes and refine, go in new experimental directions, and ultimately build really great applications that reach a lot more people.
Yeah, we just had Shreyas on talking about his recent blog. Um, and one of like the overarching theme essentially of his writing was like this there is an accelerating trend of people that want to speculate on like generally tech stocks, but now prediction markets and various other things. And there's also more people than ever building that people can then go and speculate on. um, and so I think similar, just for people that were watching Tris and now watching this, like the similar theme here is that the friction is lower than it's ever been to launch something or to speculate on something. And clearly performance is something that will help to enable that. And so Monad being the home base for a lot of these experiments happening um, seems like something that we're talking about here. Like in terms of, you and I have talked a lot on the vibe coding side. It's like you can actually just build things now and you don't have, as long as you can type in English. I'm sure there are other supported languages as well, but like you can literally just tell the thing what to do and it'll build it for you. Um, and so that hurdle getting so low means way more people can experiment
with building, and if they catch something, building a company out of the project that they've launched.
Yeah, it's just like the progression of technology. Like when Facebook was built, the amount of PHP that they wrote in order to, um, yeah, deliver like a good, in retrospect, very basic user experience compared to how easy it is to ship or maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, how easy it would be to ship a Facebook clone using Next.js and the most typical front end frameworks. And then now it's even easier. Now you could literally just tell the AI, please build me a Facebook interface, like browse Facebook, learn what attributes it has.
Mhm.
So I think it is a natural progression, but yeah, the past couple of years of developments have been insane from a software programming perspective.
Yeah,
Very, very exciting.
there's one team that's building online who I will let them remain anonymous, but they're building like a like a March Madness bracket website basically, and they have some really cool ideas on why there's going to be a lot better than what currently exists. And they stood it up and have the front end ready. It took them 2 days, and their software developer who's been working in crypto for over 9 years now, who's very excited about the contract size limits on Mana, by the way. Um, he's like, it's the best front end that I've seen in crypto. Full stop. Like this is the best, and they built it in 2 days. Neither of them know how to program, so it's like it's just truly create. Like on the Facebook example, like maybe I don't know if this is overstating, but like Danny and I could probably build Facebook in like 2 days, and neither of us know how to code right now. Like the first version of Facebook, it actually probably could, and it would probably look a lot better too. So it's just crazy the amount of
I should do
surface
it.
area that exists now.
I should do it.
Facebook 2.0 on Monad.
Mhm.
Just
Monad.
actually Facebook, yeah. We're just gonna build the old version.
Just growth hack it the same way, go to colleges.
Yeah.
One thing I want to double click on while we have you here is kind of the unique area that the Monad technology stack sits in. And we've talked about how the vast majority of EVM chains out there are using Geth or Reth or very similar stacks under the hood. And Monad sits in a lane of its own. It's entirely built from scratch. And I think the common thought, especially on crypto Twitter, or the inclination rather, is to like compare any new chain to something that already exists and to say like, oh, well, such and such project is similar to Ethereum or similar to name an L2, but it has this optimization or it has this kind of core focus. And Monad kind of sits in its own lane as a brand new redesign of the EVM system. I guess like to reiterate the point on like why does that matter and how different is Monad in taking that approach?
Yeah, it matters because some properties are just inherently really important to end users and the end user experience. And those are fast finality, high degree of decentralization, which enables many users and many companies, enterprises to trust that the their all the data and all of the state that they're putting on chain is being defended by a distributed group of validators that are all independent and that all have to keep each other accountable. So I think it's the combination of decentralization, um, very low fees, very low costs for running a validator and participating in the network as a validator or full node, um, with great integration support from all of the best in practice and most popular tools that people want to use, whether that's Safe or Tenderly or Etherscan or um, uh, the graph or Chainlink or Pith or Wormhole, like all of these integrations, everything comes out of the box, and it is just the easiest place to build, and the place where you can be the most efficient. You can be as efficient as possible. It's really just about giving a really simple environment where there are not trade-offs.
Sure. And I think a lot of people, whether they be crypto native retail or maybe even, coming from the TradFi space, looking to evaluate business cases amongst the variety of chains that exist on the market today, a lot of these people are not necessarily going to be able to perform the technical due diligence, whether it's because of ability or simply because of the time it takes to go look at the code base, compare numerous chains apples to apples. So for Monad as a new chain that emerged into the, public sphere at the end of 2025, obviously there's other chains that have been around and have gotten more mind share just by product of being early movers. How do you think about inserting Monad into the conversation, whether it's with a consumer app team that's looking to build the next new shiny way to gamble, or whether it's with a massive payments company that's looking for the most efficient and performant and secure network on which to achieve global finality for their payments. Um, does that question make sense?
Yeah, I think it's just all about the speed at which we can continue to ship and deliver value for users. It's the quality of the team and our team's efforts to um, continue to make it really easy for many people to onboard, integrate, and take advantage of the all the capabilities that Monad offers. I think you mentioned a couple of specific directions like consumer apps or um, RWA issuers or like we have really talented people here, our coworkers that are working really hard to, yeah, just to grow Monad. At the end of the day, every chain is competing with each other as well as competing with the rest of the world and all of the growth that's going on outside of crypto as well. And our job, our goal is to ensure that decentralized systems end up taking a bigger and bigger wedge within the rest of the world, and that we end up with systems that enable um, global payments and global access to personal finance tools that are borderless and that are accessible to everyone. I think that's really what crypto ultimately enables through decentralization. But it's on us to work really hard to realize that vision.
Definitely. I think it's easier to kind of comprehend if you zoom out, and even like looking at the evolution of different social media platforms from like MySpace to Facebook and Instagram, like largely about providing the best experience for users. What do users want to do, and enabling them to do that in as fast a manner as they possibly can and as friction free a manner as they possibly can. And along the way, you have apps like maybe MySpace is a decent example where it gets a lot of mind share, it gets a lot of users in, but ultimately it's not really serving the users as well as something like Facebook, which really came along and usurped MySpace. So from like a perspective of zooming out, is that the way that you kind of see blockchains kind of evolving and duking it out over the long term?
I'll just say that I think it's really we're all kind of at the starting line right now. So um, every team is just hopefully working really hard to um, grow the usage of crypto and bring more users on chain, support great builders, create an environment that is very entrepreneurial and focuses on growth of applications, retention, growing user base, and making improvements to um, yeah, I think in any sport, like a lot of it comes down to fundamentals and really just mastering the fundamentals.
Yeah, and to your point about, like, it's really anyone's game, everyone talks about how do you get to 1 billion monthly active users? If you look at crypto right now, like, maybe on the upper bound, Solana or potentially Ethereum could say that there's like 10 million. And it's like, even in that upper bound scenario, okay, that's 1%. Like the person who's the farthest out is 1% of the way towards the goal. So, yeah, I think when things happen on the internet, they move quickly, apps catch on. It can happen so fast that we like to look at the kind of current adoption cycle, but in terms of the broader goals, like no one is really, even significantly there. I also thought about the MySpace side. I think like Zuck has famously been like, the active ingredient is on MySpace versus Facebook was the relationship status. Like, I don't even know who the founder of MySpace was, but how many nights do you think he sat up just like, I didn't think of relationship status? And it's like, maybe that little thing might have changed the course of everything.
You don't remember Tom?
I don't know. I was like 6 when MySpace was a thing. Like,
How do you not remember Tom?
who's Tom, dude? I remember the LimeWire founder better just because he's in the movie. MySpace they didn't
It
have a
was just
movie.
that Tom, you remember Tom, right?
Yeah, Tom
Yeah.
from MySpace.
Yeah, it was just because it was like his face was, I mean, he was everybody's friend. So
Yeah, I don't even think we had a computer in my house when MySpace was a
Yeah,
thing.
I was never a
funny.
user either, but I know we're coming up on time here. I do want to ask, I know we've got a bunch of great questions from the community, and unfortunately we just don't have time to get to all of them. But one of the cool things about crypto decentralized systems is that you get all these participants involved in various components of growth from all around the world. And one of the things that's been awesome to see, obviously, over the past couple of years is the evolution of the Monad community. Not just the growth in numbers of the Monad community, but the evolution, people working on